comes down to the final 2 weeks. Ravens play the Dolphins.
We ain't celebrating yet.
We don't give a who over there that's flying around. Let's hit somebody in the mouth from the start to the finish. Let's get busy today, man.
Lofting downfield, it's Cedric Wilson.
Gonna swing it out, Moser wide open, he's got it.
You're facing a team that just bullied the bully. How are you gonna react when you get hit in the mouth?
Tua going deep. Oh, he's downhill. That's what I'm saying. Our will on there all day long. Our will, our tempo, our pace, our finish and win. 1-2, 1-2, 3.
So here's Steve Gio's Week 17 Miami Dolphin pick in one of the biggest games that the Dolphins have played in 15 years. They travel to Baltimore to play the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens at 12-3, Dolphins at 11-4, essentially playing for the number 1 seed in the AFC. The stakes couldn't be any higher than they are in this game. The Ravens favored by 3.5, over under 47. Last week, the Ravens shocking the 49ers, beating what many believe is a Super Bowl favorite in the NFC. They really played an amazing game against them, came out physical. Lamar Jackson making plays, and then the Dolphins at home beating Dallas in a very highly contested game. Really could have went either way, but at the end of the day, the Dolphins on the last drive, what you loved is they were able to mix up run and pass and get themselves in the position to kick the game-winning field goal, winning that game 22-20. So this is massive, and as a Dolphin fan, this is really what it's all about. Now, for this game, one of the things that worries me big time is the Dolphin injury report. Jalen Waddle is out with a high ankle sprain. Robert Hunt probably not going to play, which he hasn't played in about a month. Javon Holland is close to coming back and questionable. And new to the injury report, Jalen Ramsey has popped up on there as questionable. So those are all things that are negatives against the Dolphins, and also the offensive line, which has played extremely well, even with having 10 different configurations this year. And this week having Teron Armstead as the starter and Austin Jackson, who's also battling an oblique issue. The line has played extremely well. And for the Ravens, Zay Flowers is banged up. They're a little bit banged up in the secondary as well. So at the end of the day, the NFL is a war of attrition, and this game is going to prove that. So to me, the Ravens are going to come out. They're going to try to bully you. They're going to punch you in the face. And if you're the Dolphins, you need to be the one that strikes first, and you need to punch them in the mouth to start the game. They both run the ball very well. I think the Ravens have the edge, and the Dolphins have taken a little bit of a step back in the overall rushing yardage in the last 3 weeks. Not as committed to it, doing enough. But the X factor in this game, to me, is the run game and then Tua Tagovailoa. Can Tua come through in a big spot to make sure that he becomes that upper echelon quarterback that he wants to be, that many believe he can be? Can he win and elevate his team when there are injuries in this particular moment? And on the other side, Lamar Jackson. Look, I'm not a fan of the guy. I think he's a great athlete playing QB. And to me, if I'm the Dolphins, and if you go watch the game from 2 years ago, Thursday Night Football, and then the end of last year's game, which was insane, where the Dolphins came back and won 42-38 in the fourth quarter, what the Dolphins did was they contained him essentially for that first game and then the end of the last game. They didn't contain him in the earlier stages of that game last year, but they contained him and they made him throw the ball. Now, if you give me the full complement of Ramsey, Howard, and Kahoo, Brandon Jones, and a solid Dolphin secondary, and I can contain Lamar Jackson and make him have to beat me with his arm, the Dolphins have a shot. If they don't do that and they allow him to get out of the pocket, if they over pursue, if they try and sack him all day long and let him run around, he's going to move, he's going to create yardage on the ground, and then they're going to mix that up with their stout run game, and they'll mix in enough passes to tight ends and running backs and probably hitting Odell Beckham a couple times. They'll do enough, which is going to, put the Dolphins on their heels. Dolphins, again, run game, and without Jalen Waddle, you need to figure out, like you did against the Jets and a little bit last week against the Cowboys, who are some of these other guys in the pass game that can get involved. Smythe did a nice job at tight end last week. Claypool has had a couple of catches. Robbie Chosen last week had a couple catches before he went out with a concussion. It's going to be interesting to see if he comes back. No Dolphin player has ever had a concussion and come back cleared the next week, which is very interesting to see if Chosen will play. And as much as he's not a huge factor, he is a factor in the fact that he can stretch the field along with Tyreek, and it doesn't make this a one-trick pony. The other key thing for me, too, in this game is obviously going to be special teams. Justin Tucker, one of the best kickers in the game. And last week, Jason Sanders, surprisingly, coming through with 5 field goals to win the game and secure the game. So this is going to be huge and massive. I hate to do this because I really want the Dolphins to win this game, but I am going to pick the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to win this game 28-21. I think the Dolphins will be in it. I think they'll do enough. But I think at the end of the day, the Ravens are just going to be a little bit too much, a little bit too physical for this team. Man, I hope I'm wrong, because nothing would be sweeter than clinching the division in Baltimore and then basically, essentially, really putting yourself in the driver's seat to be the number 1 seed. We shall see. But these are the games that you love. These are the moments. In Tua, it's time to step up, put on the cape, take this team on your back, and take them to the playoffs, which they've earned last week. But now it's not only taking them to the playoffs, it's can you be the 1 seed and can you be the AFC East division champion? So we will see, and we'll see you next week.